Hello everybody, and welcome to Shelve, Store, or Sell, presented by Crushing Comics. This is the show where I go through over 140 short boxes full of comics that I hauled around the world back in 2017 to New Zealand, but maybe haven't seen since far before then, and figure out if they should stay in my collection, maybe adorn the shelves around me, or just get out of here. Today I have an unusual and much fabled box. It is one of my boxes that is already labeled Runs to Go. It is box 1135, one of the later numbers of boxes. So this should be interesting to me because it's not only that I'm pretty sure these are all a sell, unless maybe something has changed, but why did I have them in the first place if I'm so certain they're a sell? I bet they're mostly Marvel Comics, but let's take a look. So the first thing in the box is, okay, I have a flavor for this already. This is Deathlok's series from 1999. It was branching out of a brief crossover. These are 2 per bag, so I have some ones in the back too. This crossed out of a brief crossover in X-Men books called M-Tech. And at the time, it really didn't seem like this was going to be collected at all. Why would it be? It's a minor run, and it's not even the main Deathlok we know and necessarily love. So I bought it. It was really cheap to buy. I remember going on a pilgrimage to this little shop in New Jersey that was really hard to get off the highway to get to the shop, and I was a pretty new driver at that point. And they had it because I had talked to them online about eBay listings, and they're like, oh yeah, we have all these runs, and this was super, super cheap because it's like 9 issues, 10, 11 issues, and I got it. But as luck would have it, Marvel actually released this in a trade paperback, which I have, so no need to bind. I don't know who's going to buy it, but there's no reason to keep it here because it is already collected. Okay, that was easy. The next one is what looks to me like a complete run of Secret Defenders. What's funny to me about this Secret Defenders run is that I didn't even know about it until I started collecting floppies, because I think it started like a little bit after I got out of collecting comics. And so I had no idea it existed, and it doesn't get referenced a whole lot. And when I first was researching, I think my Defenders guide, I was like, Secret Defenders? So here's the first issue. Actually, it's from 1993. I was around for this, but I have no recollection of this comic book whatsoever. And the thing was that it was like kind of anchored by Doctor Strange, but it could have whoever they wanted on it. So here we have Darkhawk, Spider-Woman, Nomad, and Wolverine. But that would shift. I know in the middle it's got some Deadpool on it at one point. Let's pick a end of run issue. So here's 25, the last issue. And I don't even recognize any of these people. These late issues, of course. No, seriously, who are they? I mean, I'm sure that's like a Spider-Woman, but I have no idea. Now, these late run issues from 90s titles can get really pricey, so I'm sure I bought this as a lot, and that's why I've got it all still in one bag. Now, the question is, has this completely been collected? I have to suspect yes, if I'm marking it to sell, but let me check. Yeah, this series has been completely collected in a pair of trades. One is Doctor Strange and the Secret Avengers, which collects the first half, 1 through 11. The other is Deadpool and the Secret Defenders, which collects through the end of the series. So there is no reason to hold on to this giant lump of comic books anymore. Again, will anyone buy it? I don't know what the market is in New Zealand for random 90s series, but it doesn't have to stay here, right? It's like closing time. What are the lyrics? You don't have to go home, but you can stay here. That's my message to my comic book collection right now. You can't stay here. You don't have to go home. You just got to get out of this place. So now we have, wow. Okay, we have this really lengthy run of Defenders, classic Defenders, starting with issue 66 with a beautiful cover of Valkyrie on the cover. This is why I hate floppies, man, because I know this is going to come as a surprise to you, but they're floppy. Not a fan. And I can tell you exactly why I had these, because whenever I started buying these, the Defenders Marvel Masterworks line clearly hadn't gotten this far, and it was progressing somewhat slowly, and I'm sure I found a lot of them, meaning not a lot, but one lot of them together being sold, and I was like, okay, great, let's do this. So this is intense. I have, starting from 66, which we just saw, all the way through, wow, 1/8, all the way through, looks like maybe 118 and a little bit past that. That's a really cool cover with the dots in the background. And looks like Son of Satan maybe fighting himself there. That is a really, really awesome cover. Yeah, 119, 120. So my thinking is this, that they probably put out that new Defenders trade paperback, or there was like a classic new Defenders. There was some kind of collection of new Defenders. Maybe it was even the Essentials. And so I was like, I don't want to keep buying Marvel Masterworks necessarily for this series. We see how that went. So I am going to just buy this whole run. Defenders was not a hot title at any point, even after the MCU had gotten started up, so it was easy to do. And I was just planning on probably binding that into probably 2 binds in the middle from like 66 to 120, maybe 3, and just having those on my shelf. They'd be the same trim size as the Marvel Masterworks. But now we have Epic Collections, which pretty much jumped right into the breach there. Where's the Defenders? If we grab the first Defenders Epic Collection here that they published, it was Defenders 92 to 109. And I know we've covered recently on an episode that actually the Marvel Masterworks have just about met up with that. So actually, I have some of the things that are in these Epic Collections, some of them in Masterworks. I just don't need this run anymore. So that's a big enough, hunky enough run that I bet I could probably sell it and get some money for it. The interesting thing about the Defenders is how the team just rotates. Like, looking at some of the earlier issues of this run, the people on the cover box, here's issue 64, so I guess 66 was not my first issue. Hold on, let's do some spelunking. I have back to 60. So 60 is my earliest issue. The cover box here is Hulk, Hellcat, Valkyrie, and that blue guy who I never remember the name of. Some kind of hawk? I don't know. You tell me. So that's the earliest issue I have. And then in the later issues, this cover box has Beast, Doctor Strange, Son of Satan, and Reed Richards. I don't know that I realized that Reed Richards was in the Defenders, but there he is. And then, actually, I even have past where we were. These are clearly not in very good order, Peter. This is 121, so I must have right up until it changes to New Defenders. Yeah, because I recognize this issue cover. And this one has Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer Namor, and Hulk on the cover, but then in the box, but then actually pictured on the cover are Angel, Beast, Valkyrie, and Gargoyle, who I think are more representative of that team. Now, these are not in the best condition as I've been going through. I've seen a few with like slightly rolled spines. So, I still think as a lot, I probably could sell them, and I would be very fair. I'm not, who even knows what getting my money back would look like on these comic books, because I've had them for so long. Wow. I'm always just fascinated at what I got that I don't even remember. I mean, let's be honest. I do have a little bit of a problem, or I did, because I got more organized and Marvel started collecting things better. But this next stuff is pretty great. I have a run of Doctor Strange, starting with Doctor Strange number 46 from 1981. And they are in, I have to say, pretty good condition. I mean, they're yellowed. I don't know that I would get I don't know that I would get them slabbed, but just looking at this one, like, it's got really nice solid blacks. The cover, the spines is right on. So, but I don't care. I chose violence. I was just going to get these bound. Because again, I probably did the math of how far it seemed like the Masterworks were going to get and how fast, and the math was unsatisfactory to me. So, oh my gosh, some of these covers. I mean, Doctor Strange just really... I think there's some Roger Stern in this run. Writers. Roger Stern, you know how much I like pink on a comic cover. And I think there's also some Chris Claremont in this run. But between the Epic Collections and the Masterworks... Oh, this is one of the most classic Doctor Strange covers of all time. I recognize this from my guide. Great cover. So every one of these is good. But they're collected. And I wouldn't want to do Violence to these, another amazing one that I recognize from my guide. I wouldn't want to do Violence to these and get them bound if I don't have to. And I think these would actually sell. He's like a movie star now. So this continues through the end of his... Gosh, all of these covers are good. Doctor Strange fighting the Black Knight. So I have every issue up to the very end of this run with 81, which you can tell that this looks much more modern. This is from year 1986. Cover 1981. I don't know why it looks so much more modern. It's probably the type layout on the side there, and plus I can see the black Spider-Man on the corner box, of course. But it's the type layout for me that makes that look a little bit more modern. Even the issue right before this, even though it has a little bit of a 70s vibe to the illustration, that little inverted triangle with the text in it That to me just feels much more like an 80s piece of layout. So they have all been collected, or they're about to be collected in Marvel Masterworks and Epic, so I don't need them anymore, and I can find them a good home, including this old trade of Doctor Strange: A Separate Reality, which collected the beginning of that series, issues 1, 2, 4, and 5. But at the time, before MCU really got underway, there were not a lot of Doctor Strange collections. So that's why. And then I have something we've actually covered on a previous episode, which is Elektra. But we covered it as, I think, a trade paperback. But here is that run, which I was sure that I was going to have to bind, starting with this Elektra #1 by Mike Deodato on art there. And so this was one of those acquisitions where it was pretty cheap. She wasn't a very big deal, even though her movie had long since been out. And I was like, hey, I'm just going to send these away for one bind. And then sure enough, Marvel put it together into a complete collection. Now, if you recall that conversation, or if I recall it correctly, there's still an abandoned annual that's not in the collection, which is like an Elektra and Spider-Man annual, I want to say, but all that stuff's in it. So all of this was me kind of backstopping the need to keep buying Masterworks. Certainly to buy the singles and to get them bound was going to come out cheaper than even one Masterwork. And that was the mental arithmetic that I did. And that's why this box exists. But again, I have to emphasize, we had no way of knowing Epic collections were coming. It really seemed like these runs in the 80s and the 90s and these smaller runs that didn't have a big name person attached to them might never get collected, especially because before some of these peoples were announced weren't announced for movies. And so as that happened, and as 2014 and 2015 hit with the Epic collections and some of the expanded cast of the cinematic universe, you realized Marvel's probably going to collect everything when it comes to their big Silver Age lines. And this just became less critical. So this is what a whole box of selling looks like. It's called Runs to Go. If you live in New Zealand, especially if you live in the southern part of the North Island, and you want any of these, let me know. But otherwise, I will just make them available through avenues, I suppose. But hey, it never hurts to throw the offer out. So this has been an episode of Shelve, Store, or Sell, and this is, of course, an all sell. Aside from liking some of those covers, I have no reason to keep these, and I wouldn't want to make one of those runs incomplete just for covers. So tune in again next time, where we're going to go through more of my massive collection, figure out why I bought it in the first place, and if I should keep it here on Crushing Comics. Until I see you again, please be well. I know who I want to take me home.